A pregnant woman kept alive after being declared brain dead in Atlanta delivered a baby boy through C-section. Adriana Smith was put on life support in February while she was 8 weeks pregnant and kept alive by doctors because of Georgia's heartbeat abortion law. And now the family says they're preparing to say goodbye and take Adriana off life support. The baby expected to be okay.
He's fighting. He's in the NIC unit. He's about 1 pound, 13 ounces. And he's expected to be okay. He's just fighting. We just want prayers for him. Just keep praying for him. He's here now. And she had a lot to give. So I'm just trying to hold it together right now.
Hey y'all, welcome to Deep Dives with Sali, and today we're going to discuss the Adriana Smith medical case. And if you have not already, take this time to subscribe, set your notification bell on, because at this point, what are you doing? We are going to get into some things in the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to stay active on YouTube and trying to grow my channel, and my goal right now is to reach 500 subscribers, and I believe I can do it in the next month. So getting into Adriana Smith medical case, y'all, this is insane. I know I use the word insane a lot, but a lot of the topics that I touch on is just crazy. It's just wow, like what is happening in this world right now. But this case is a tragic and highly controversial situation that has sparked national debates on reproductive rights, medical ethics, and racial justice in this post-Roe versus Wade landscape. So, who was Adriana Smith? So, Adriana Smith, pictured here, was a 31-year-old nurse from Atlanta, Georgia, and she was pregnant about 9 weeks at the time of her medical emergency. So, what is the medical emergency, you ask? So, around February 2025, she had a medical crisis. She began experiencing severe headaches. She went to the hospital and was misdiagnosed and sent home. And you guys know, or if you haven't known, Black women are the biggest demographic that are most likely mistreated. Black women are the biggest demographic receiving disproportionate medical care. She returned later when her condition worsened. By then, she had blood clots in her brain, and the doctors diagnosed massive brain bleeding, and she was eventually declared brain dead. This is something that's very typical, right? As a Black woman, you go to the hospital and the doctor tries to like brush away your issues, or they misdiagnose you. They think that because they have the stereotypical mindset that you are not as in much pain that you are, and they tend to kind of brush it away and just kind of like give you something that you don't really need. They'll give you a diagnosis that's really not the issue. But this is something that happens quite frequently, and it needs to be discussed. Like, there needs to be laws in place to protect Black women, because it is happening way too much. And it's so scary, because there's even times where sometimes I'm scared to go to the doctor to report on some things because it's not taken seriously. But let's get into the pregnancy and legal complications that stemmed from Adriana Smith's situation. So she was declared brain dead, and they had discovered that she was about 9 weeks pregnant. So after the brain death was confirmed, her family expected the life support to be removed. But guess what the doctors at Emory University Hospital did? They said that they were obligated by Georgia's abortion law to keep her on life support to sustain the pregnancy. So essentially, this woman is medically and legally dead. She's not alive. And they wanted to keep her body as an incubator to sustain the fetus. So the doctors are saying, we can't, the family's like, okay, we gotta take her off of life support. We want to give her we want to send her off in a peaceful way. And the doctor's like, no, we can't do it because of the Life Act. So let's get into this Life Act, the Georgia's law regarding the Life Act. So this Life Act is known as the Heartbeat Bill, and it bans abortion after about 6 weeks once fetal cardiac activity is detected. And it also defines a fetus as a person with rights under Georgia law. So the Emory doctors interpreted this to mean that removing life support could constitute an illegal abortion since the fetus was still alive. So I want to be very careful with my words here because this is a very sensitive and tragic situation. And I feel like at this point, they have put the fetus above Adriana. So Adriana is at a point where she's not even able to naturally develop this baby. Her body can't naturally develop this baby because she is not alive. And the doctor's like, because of this Life Act, we need to keep her alive so that we can develop, we can give the fetus time to develop. So the family's reaction, it was not very positive, right? Because her mother stated that the family was not given a say in her daughter's end of life care. And she said, and I quote, this is torture, end quote, in her interviews. She emphasized that Adriana would not have wanted this and that the family was powerless under the law. So, so the state officials did weigh in, and I'm so glad that they was able to provide some legal clarification surrounding this situation. Georgia's Attorney General office clarified that the law does not require hospitals to keep a brain dead pregnant woman on life support, and that discontinuing life support is not considered an abortion in this case. So, what does this mean? This clarification that the Attorney General's office provided contradicted the hospital's original stance. The hospital's like, no, because of the Life Act, we need to keep her legally, we need to keep her on life support so that she can develop, so that she can, the fetus inside of her can develop. And I feel like the confusion here reveals how unclear and dangerous these laws are for both the families and doctors. Because if you have this law in place, right, that is saying that a fetus needs to be a certain amount of weeks to be able to be considered a person, and then you have the Attorney General saying, no, that's not what the law is saying. Her being put off of life support doesn't mean that it's not considered an abortion. That is so confusing. Like, these laws need to be much more clear because this is a very messy situation and so unfair for the family and her her son. And I don't know if you guys have seen the videos all over TikTok and other social media platforms of Adriana on life support, and her son is on the bedside, just like emotional, very emotional. He's holding on to his mom, and it is so sad to see this her son just, struggling. And I'm like, yo, aren't the doctors seeing this? Like, aren't those doctors seeing how much pain and torture that they're putting on to the family? But let me show you guys. I don't want to show like the video. Like, I don't even want to show. I just feel like it's a little too like sensitive. So it's just such a sad thing to see. What a poor boy. This family's being traumatized, and I just don't get it. But the laws need to be clear. Like, they need to take these laws, whatever words and things that they have in place right now, they need to make it make sense because this is not okay. This young boy should not have to suffer like this. And let's get into what occurred next, right? So, after over 100 days on life support, Adriana was still being used to sustain the fetus. On June 13, 2025, the doctors performed a C section, but the language here is it's not appropriate in this case because she wasn't alive to provide the C section. So, most people online are saying that it's not a C-section, but rather an autopsy because the baby was ripped out of her. They had to rip her open, cut her open to take the baby out of a corpse.
Adriana Smith did not give birth today because she is dead. A dead person cannot give birth. They cut that baby from her corpse. That's what happened. When I say this, but I really hope that baby does not make it. Because imagine what will happen if our government realizes that they don't need a live woman to have a healthy baby. Mind you, she was only 8 weeks pregnant when she died. She wasn't even done with the first trimester. Do you guys understand just how quickly the human body starts to decompose? Do you know how much effort it takes to keep the body from breaking down? And they count months. Human body starts to decompose after days of being dead. I don't think you guys understand. We're literally seeing the beginning of the normalization of necromancy. Legalized necromancy. Medical necromancy. Living in a world where the government can legally keep your corpse alive to keep you from decomposing, also you can have a baby. And that doesn't sound like eugenics at all.
And they named the family named the baby boy Chance, and he was delivered at 27 weeks gestation. He weighed about 1 pound and 13 ounce. And at the moment, he is alive and receiving care in NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit. So what happens next? Adriana is now expected to be removed from life support following the birth of her son. So right after using her body as an incubator, and now that they have taken the baby out of her, they're now putting her off of life support. But then it's like they should have, kept her. They should have left her alone so that she could go in peace. But unfortunately, they just kept her there and tortured their family for how many days? 100 days, just so that they can develop the fetus inside of her. And people are looking at this as like the doctors were using this situation as an experiment to see if humans dead corpse has to see if corpse can be used as incubators. And Adriana was brain dead, legally and medically considered deceased. And this is a bioethics crisis because her body was artificially maintained for over 3 months. And in this case, I feel like it violates patient autonomy, end of life care rights, and informed consent ethics. This is not a situation that has not occurred before. So in 2014, Marlise Munoz endured a similar situation like this in Texas. So she was a brain dead woman who was also kept on life support against her family's wishes due to her pregnancy. Cases like Adriana Smith and Marlise Munoz's case that occurred in Texas shows a pattern in states with fetal personhood laws. The pregnant body is treated as a vessel even in death, and this is sparking conversations about racial and social justice. Adriana Smith was a Black woman, and y'all already know Black women in the United States face higher maternal mortality rates. We face more frequent misdiagnoses and reduced quality care. And the fact that Adriana was misdiagnosed initially and then denied dignified death illustrates systemic issues. So I'm thinking if they did not misdiagnose Adriana in the first place, would she even be in this situation in the first place? Like, this is crazy. This could have been prevented. Maybe if they just paid attention to her symptoms, maybe just not brush her away and not send her away as if her pain or her problems weren't a big deal. So social media and communities online have expressed lots of outrage, as we should. This is not care, it's control. And people are bringing up the fact that she deserved dignity and not to be treated as an incubator. Others online saw the birth of the baby Chance as a miracle, but they still question the ethics of how it happened. Like, the birth of baby Chance happened in such a forcible way. Like, they put her body in such a state out of her own will and out of the family's own will. The congressional response is that they are going to introduce a House resolution honoring Adriana's life, and they're going to be calling for protection of pregnant individuals' autonomy, healthcare justice, accountability in maternal care, and a focus on reproductive justice for Black women.
Not only was Adriana's pain dismissed and her son robbed of his mother, but all of this is because of an extreme abortion ban in Georgia. The hospital stated that they could not take her off of life support. And because she was 9 weeks pregnant when she was declared brain dead, about a month past a missed period, the hospital would not allow Adriana's family to make sensitive end-of-life medical decisions for her, and the hospital made her body an incubator. This week, baby Chance posthumously came into this world by emergency C-section and remains in the NICU. Adriana's family was finally able to lay her to rest and pick up the pieces as they navigate their deep grief. These stories are chilling, and you'll hear many more of them as there are abortion storytellers making their way through our offices in the corridors of Congress this week. These stories are uncomfortable, challenging all of us to sit in the discomfort so that we never grow complacent or wane in this fight.
So this case lays bare, like, there's a lot of things that matter in this case. The legal chaos that can follow when states grant fetal personhood, that's like the biggest thing. This case is also highlighting the medical risk of ignoring brain death to serve ideological goals, and then it's highlighting the urgent need to protect patient autonomy in the wake of Roe versus Wade reversal, and then it's also the intersection of race, reproductive rights, and human dignity. Adriana Smith's story is not just a tragedy, it's a warning. It shows the human cost of vague and extreme abortion laws that we're currently facing in this country, especially for women of color. While her baby fights for life in NICU, her case is now being used to push for legislative and ethical reform and reproductive and end-of-life care. Adriana was removed from life support on June 17, 2025, but the family had to endure this deep, immense amount of trauma for the past 3 to 4 months, and they shouldn't have been going through that. Let me now, I just hope that the family sues the heck out of the hospital and them doctors, because not only did they misdiagnose her, but they let her pain and her problem get so bad to the point where she got brain dead. And now when she got brain dead, they forced her body on life support so that they could maintain the fetus inside of her that was just 8 or 9 weeks. And on top of that, having her family suffer for 100+ days. Or for what? Would they be in this position right now? If they just paid attention to her, if they just took her situation, her problem, her pain, her issue seriously, would they even be in this situation? What do you guys think about this situation? If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because like I said in my last video, if you was paying attention, these deep dives support real understanding, not just entertainment. And I will see you guys next time.